running barefoot was not enough, you moved to running backward.
Elite athletes, sprinters and long distance runners, if they are injured and they still want to be active during that injured phase, their trainers make them do backward drills. One article, caught my attention. It's like backward walking. Damn, this sounds interesting. I opened and I got to know that in China and Japan, a lot of people have been doing this since years, hundreds of years. I was really sick of running, taking loops in the garden. So I had this friend from college who used to run. So I told her, listen, Purna, you take me to you be my eye. Let's go on a highway and run, few kilometers. So that's how I ventured on the roads running backward for the first time, early in the morning where there were no vehicular movement. How many hours I run doesn't matter. I keep looking, back from both sides equally, and it doesn't ever give me a strain anytime now. I'm going to sign up for a half marathon here. I'm going to run backward. My family was like, dude, you can't do this. My mother was so against it because she's like, you are not doing this because it's not safe.
Hello everyone, this is Vikas and you are listening or watching Run with Fitpage. Today is episode number 249 and I have with me today Sarthak Malani. If you are in India and you are a runner, you would have seen him or his reel somewhere or other running backwards. Not only that, he's running bare-chested and also runs barefoot. He runs fast and of late he's been creating quite a wave around running. I think the conversation today is not about getting too technical about a topic. It is also not a research, but it's a topic that is of learning from a runner next door, that is of a runner who's been consistent, how he has tried to find what works for him and has continued to enjoy it. He has made running sustainable. He has made it a part of his life, and I think you and I, we can learn a thing or two from his running journey for sure. From the conversation, you will see that he does not make running too complicated. He's barefoot, bare-chested, and he enjoys running thoroughly. I think running is simple, isn't it? And so it doesn't have to be made complicated. Bobby, Milind Soman, and now Sarthak, who run barefoot. And we are speaking with one of the three today. Let's get into the conversation and learn about his inspiring journey of how he picked up running, how he continued to be at it, and what are his plans going ahead. Let's go. Sarthak, welcome. It's an absolute pleasure to have you with us today.
Pleasures, all mine. Thank you, Vikas.
We have met before on the road. We have said hello to people, to each other. We have spoken just in one line, one sentence earlier.
Not even one sentence.
Not even one sentence.
It has always been a wave.
Correct.
It's with runners. They usually even, they don't like wave at each other, but it's the eyes.
You got this. From there to we speaking today, this will be a fun one for sure.
I'm sure.
As I was saying, 248 episodes before this, almost reaching to 50. But you are one of the most interesting conversations to have, primarily because I think the journey that you have had from where you started and the inspiration that you find in and how everyday runner relates with you is really good. So I thought let's have a conversation that feels like home. That's like the person next door and the runner who we all want to associate with. Let's have a conversation that I think will bring some meaning to other runners.
Of course. And knowing that big shot people have sat on this chair and you still think that this one is going to be an interesting one, I'm happy to just know that.
Yeah, we'll discuss all about running. But let's start from your childhood. Were you a runner since you went to school or it happened later?
Not really. I mean, I was born and raised in this tiny town, the southernmost tip of Gujarat called Verawal.
Okay.
Close to Verawal, there's Somnath Temple. Again, Verawal is a town, but I didn't grow up in Verawal, but again, a few kilometers away from Verawal, a tiny village called Sutrapada, where my father used to work, and we used to live in a township.
Okay.
So just picture this, that it's a township with huge walls, and 3 kilometers from the township, there's Arabian Sea and extremely wild sea. and also it falls in the Gir territory. So there used to be lion spotting, every once in a while. So I've had such a childhood where, things have been pretty exciting and interesting. And I've always been, very outdoorsy, always running around, climbing trees, and, always on the go. And of course, I'm 34 years old, grew up, in the 90s and early 2000s, no phone. So it was always outdoors.
And is that the reason why your Insta handle is what it is?
The Urbantarzan.
That's right.
That happened much later.
Is it okay?
But I always felt that, there's a Tarzan in me. I mean, everything I did, even after I started running, I realized that I was a little different from others in terms of, my approach towards food and nutrition. Again, since the beginning, I started running when I entered college in 2018. And, never ever used a watch. It's just 6 months ago I've started wearing a watch to track all the stats. But cut to a few years later when I started growing my hair in lockdown, when there was little restrictions were taken away for a few days. I went out for a run, and that's when one of the runners we met on the morning, and we were crossing, and my hair were like flowing. I still had a beard, and I was running bare-chested. And he was like, "Hey, Tarzan." And that's when it clicked that, I live in an urban jungle, so why not Urbantarzan?
Wow. That seems like the base was getting set right from the start. Yeah. The way you narrated where you grew up, where you lived. From there, fast forward for everyone's understanding. I'm speaking with you primarily impressed by what I have seen recently. That is, you running pretty well, you running bare-chested, you running barefoot, you running backward. A lot of things, of course, that you've been doing have been challenging the status quo. Last I knew another person who used to run bare-chest regularly with us was back in 2011-12. His name is Puruda Guru, and and he and I would meet, and actually how I got introduced to him was one day I posted somewhere, I think on MRR group, saying this Sunday running Bandra to NCPA 440 pace, anyone wants to join the bus. And then he messaged me, he's like, who's this guy? He wants to do a 440 pace. And that time 440 pace was quite fast.
Wow, you're talking about 2013, right?
2011, 2012.
Wow.
and Puru wanted to do 145, if I'm not wrong, for a half marathon. And that's how we connected. And then I'll always, in the start, I'll feel embarrassed because he just didn't wear any shirt, and at times at different cafes he'll be turned away. People will ask him, don't you have clothes?
Classic Puru.
And he would not go, and he also owned a cycle which is as old as him, I guess. And then I meet another equally interesting person now, but you have pushed it a little more. Actually not. In between, I also met another person who is a close friend now, Bobby, and his shorts are pretty short. So when you see it,
ideal definition of a short,
right, like hot pants. Bobby in hot pants. Oh my goodness, he must be thinking, if he hears this, he's like, what are these guys talking about, right? But now meeting you and seeing you run the way you run is just fantastic. Why it's also very impressive is because you have not done this by just doing this. You have been running, you have been working, you have worked full-time, you have managed a corporate life, and like any normal person lives Monday to Friday and working out, running, etc. I wanted to get into details of all of that. But before even that, let's start from where running happened to you. While you were jumping, kood fand rahe the, all of that is fine. But how did you get into running to even start with?
This is an interesting one, and I hope I keep it short because I have this habit of just getting into detail, but I started running when I was 18, when I just entered college, under graduation.
Okay.
And the only thought in my head was that I want a great physique because I'm entering college. I'm an adult now, and there are going to be pretty girls in my batch in the college. That was my honest, actually, thought process behind starting to get into fitness, and running being one of the most convenient and cheapest form of fitness at that point. Of course, gym तो घर से एकदम ही मना थी, और my mother family would never pay for a gym membership at 18 years old. So in my batch, we had a couple of my friends who were interested. So that's how it all started. We had a full day college. So at morning 7, we used to leave our house. Our bus used to come, and the college was 30 kilometers away. And we used to leave college at 6 p.m. So full day college, whatever you do, a lot of activities. So during that time in the evening before leaving for home, we used to run like a 5 kilometer. That's how it all started.
Then when did you graduate to starting to run bare chest?
It all eventually, happened. If I think about exactly when did I started running bare chested, but of course it was like 3-4 years into running when I was getting into it properly. It just felt, it automatically came to me that I always felt comfortable wearing less clothes, even at home. And wearing a t-shirt, during summers, Ahmedabad, gets super hot.
Yeah.
So your t-shirt used to kind of stick to the body, and I used to once in a while just remove it, and try and dry it and then wear it. And I was like, better to not wear also. And that's how, I started enjoying having less stuff on my body. I even scrapped the armband that people used to wear back in the day. Yeah, I was like, no, even this is, I was like, this is not fun. Yeah, this is coming in, in my way. So I ditched all of that and I started holding phone in my hand. That's how I think. And when my body started getting into shape, it became all the more reason to kind of show it off.
Now, look, I really like it how open you are about it. It's just so important, because a lot of times we just fake in a different way than what we mean, and it's good to see that's coming out exactly what you mean and what you feel about it, right? That's how it should be. Now, you have progressed pretty well in running, if we talk about running performance, and we'll come to the backward running, etc. in a bit. You've done 129 and a half. You run fairly quick. I've seen your faster trainings, at least when we run on Bandstand and Carter Road. It seems quick as well. It seems like you've been consistent over a period of time, and so you got faster. But let's just go through a bit about your training. How do you train? And how you have kept going and gotten faster. Why I ask this also particularly here, we hear this question almost all the time. How do you get faster? This is one of the questions you always get asked, right?
That's true.
And when someone is at around 129, 130, 132, people think it's achievable if they are 140 with a few years of training.
Yeah.
So there may be someone 135 who's wanting to get a little faster. I think they will find certain understanding of training and performance through your training.
I hope they do.
Okay.
Because I've never had a trainer. I've never had anyone, who guided me. I've done my own experiments, and there have been a lot of trial and errors in that. I've enjoyed myself. And there have been lots and lots of ups and downs. But yeah, I mean, when it comes to my training, when I talk about my running journey, 15 years of running with a bit of on and off in between. It's only recently that I've started running this fast.
Okay.
And prior to that, I've done, even before chasing a specific time or running a full marathon, after running a lot of half marathons, I graduated to running ultramarathons. And that was majorly influenced because when I joined Pinkathon, I used to work with Milind. So there he used to do this last long run of the year where he used to run with a bunch of his close running friends, and that's how it all came. And I started enjoying ultra running because, you just go on your own pace. There's no timing to chase. Cut to, running faster. It all came because I started feeling that I could run fast.
Yeah.
And that's how, it all started. And talking about my training, I've never had a plan. And I've realized how important it is to have a plan. No, that's not the plan. And I've realized how important it is to have a plan because I was training blindly. I woke up one fine day. I feel like running a 10K. Okay, let's go run a 10K. But during the run, I'm like, my body feels great. Let's run 5 more. that's not the ideal way of training. I was just listening to my heart and my body at that point. And that's, I think, how I also got injured multiple times in that process. Cut to, a few years ago, I thought, I need to have a plan, because even I keep listening to or reading articles and podcasts here and there. So I got a plan out of ChatGPT.
Okay.
Right, and I made some modifications to it, and I just simply wrote that, how do I achieve a sub 1:30 half marathon timing? And it gave me a plan. And I was anyway strength training a lot, which has changed my life. I got a plan which included XYZ number of miles per week, slow runs, interval training. So I started following all of that. So Mondays are usually rest days for me.
Okay.
Tuesdays I do intervals, and then Wednesdays I would do like a strength workout. Thursday I would run. Friday I would do again a strength workout, lower body. And Saturday, Sunday I would do slow long runs.
Back to back.
Back to back. The reason I got into an habit of running 2 back to back slow long runs was because of this format of running with Milind, where we used to run from one city to another, and that used to happen over a period of 2 days. So that's how I thought that I need to put my body through that process of enduring the pain for 2 days back to back, and I've been following that for quite a few months now. It has really helped me.
Nice. So when you talk about your easy runs, I'm not saying in terms of paces, but in terms of effort, how easy run feels to you. What I'm saying is, and I've discussed this maybe 50 times in the podcast, but it's just so important, right? How easy is easy for you? Is it conversational, zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, where?
Because if I say this, that I still don't understand zones too well, it's going to be really shameful for people who follow me. For me, I look at the pace. For the longest time, I have never bothered to check my heart rate.
Okay.
It's only now, since I have a watch, I keep a tab. But not sure how you are going to personally take it, but I don't consider, or my heart rate doesn't bother me a lot. So I just check how my body is feeling. Yeah. But again, talking about slow runs, not sure what zone, but I try and stick to like a 6:30 pace through and through. But I feel that, even a 5:30 is easy for me. And I had gone to Kenya for 3 weeks, eaten. And that's when I also happened to interact with a lot of, athletes. And just got to know that, of course, even they take their slow runs very seriously. For them, slow is extremely slow. And I started scratching my head. Oh, they're running so slow. How? I mean, I went for a slow run with them and I was like, this is not happening. So I realized that, how slow runs are so important. And being like a regular runner, I think I am, according to their standards, even my slow runs are faster.
No, true. And I brought this point not to make it too technical, but just to provide the importance of how running slow is so important for all of us. And I continue to get this question regularly as well. Sir, how slow should I run? Or it just seems too slow. And in fact, at times I have told them that brisk walking is also fast for you at this stage. So you have to be that slow when you are starting out. So like 6:30 sounds pretty reasonable, and that is a zone 1, zone 2 in a way. Like you said, you don't look at pace because it's so relative, depending on the weather, how you felt the previous day and things like those. But effort is the right indicator. If your body just feels that it's very easy, very conversational, and I can keep going forever, that's
an easy pace.
Yeah, that's an easy pace. Someone told me once, and I see 80-90% of the time I can do something similar in my slow run. That is, if you have to breathe through your mouth, it's definitely not a slow run. If you can 100% breathe in and breathe out through your nose only, that's for sure zone 1, zone 2.
That's a perfect indicator.
So because otherwise you just can't breathe through your nose. So that's what I try. Coming back. Now, you talked about Milind. Was also Milind an influence for you to move to barefoot running?
I would say he was the only influence.
Okay.
For me to at least experiment with barefoot, running. And I'll tell you how. So when I joined Pinkathon in 2015, I was moving from Ahmedabad to Mumbai for the first time ever, leaving my mom, because my mom and I live alone in Ahmedabad. My elder brother lives here. So that was like a changing point in life where I was going away for the first time. And I moved to Mumbai. And of course, it's that thing that you're going to work with a celebrity.
Yeah.
And you love running, and he's a running icon, right, in India. And the more time I spent around him in office, and being one of those employees at Pinkathon who's the only runner, I also got an opportunity to run with him a lot, different parts of the country, in different countries. So seeing him up close, and of course when you see somebody while running, the true self comes out, is what I feel. There's no filter when you're running, especially when you're struggling. Your true self kind of comes out, and that's how I've seen Milind up close. And there has been so many influences, I would say. First, of course, was seeing him in barefoot sandals all the time. And even at work, he would kind of randomly roam around barefoot. And even personally, I would like, man, what is he doing? And when he used to speak about his experience being barefoot and what changes it has made to his life and running, it made me curious that I need to try it for sure. And because the first run that I ventured out on, it was a really short one. And that first experience changed everything for me. I mean, that first run itself had such an impact on my body, where I felt my posture was just corrected automatically. And I was shocked. And I was like, I have to continue doing this. So of course, under his guidance and through a lot of research at my end, I decided to kind of understand the entire process, the transition of moving from running in shoes to being barefoot. You just can't randomly find a wake up and do it. People do it these days, but then it's not an ideal thing to do. So I started spending a lot of time barefoot at home, started working out in the park completely barefoot, and from grass to clay to concrete to tar roads. And that's how it took me about 6, 7, 8 months to be able to comfortably run barefoot for long distances.
Yeah, good you explained this, because this gradual shift to wearing high cushion shoes to moving to barefoot, I think that's the key, because it is possible that by listening to this conversation or by watching it, someone says, hey, I'm going to run barefoot from tomorrow. Actually not. It should go through a process, and that's where maybe I would request to just maybe let's spend a little more time in talking about how was your journey? How did you actually, if you remember, how did you actually move from wearing shoes to starting to race barefoot? You said 6 to 7 months that it took, but what did you do? Like, did you remove your shoes, go out, walk for half a kilometer, come back, or something else? Maybe let's just go through some practical points that might help others if they want to.
Firstly, started being barefoot in the house as much as possible, right? And I used to do all my strength workouts in the shoes. I ditched them. My strength workouts were happening after that completely barefoot. And I felt that, there was great balancing that was happening. So workouts started happening completely barefoot. And then consciously, I was, kind of changing terrains, not just, house, but grass. And then, walking a lot in the clay, working out, taking my dumbbells out on a clay track and working out there. And then started walking a lot on tar roads. Of course, I used to get a lot of weird reactions. Mostly people back in Ahmedabad used to think that, he might be on some religious, journey in life. That's the reason he has ditched shoes. But no. So what happens is when you do pull-ups, right, or any such workout, you develop calluses here. Similar thing happens with your feet. So high impact points would create calluses. I've got calluses, these points, they're high impact points. So what happens is not just necessarily these points would create that, but even other areas, of your feet would become hard. So, eventually the tiny gravels would not hurt you a lot, how it would hurt anybody who's so used to running in shoes, So this needs to happen, and this takes time. And of course, Indian roads are not too barefoot friendly. So I specifically, select spaces which I think are very safe for me to run barefoot. Walkeshwar here in Mumbai is, I think, one of the finest areas to run barefoot. They are buttery roads.
Wow, okay.
So I've run there a couple of times, and I always think if I ever want to run completely barefoot for long distances, I will go to Walkeshwar and keep running there.
Got it. Yeah, and we've had a few other speakers on the show, and I remember, I think one of the podcast guests talking about how to gradually move to barefoot running, and it was very similar, where he said you move from high cushion shoe to first mid cushion shoes. From there, you possibly move to minimalist shoes. Then you move to slippers just to walk around for a longer period of time. Then try to walk barefoot. Then try to just maybe do small little jogs barefoot. And then eventually you move to start running and then racing over a period of time. One of the things he also said that your Achilles particularly get stretched when you're running barefoot, and you have this excessive pain if you do not manage it well. And I think that's why it's also important for beginners to, while be excited about it, it's great, but not be in a position that, it's like when we have these annual corporate sport events, people are just playing around and everything else, and the next day you'll see half of them are on sick leave, right? Because everything is hurting, right? So you have to adapt to it to get there, and I think that's exactly what you said as well.
Yeah, when it comes to minimalistic footwear, even that came pretty late in life, because I saw Milind wearing the Luna sandals, and they're very expensive. They're like a 14,000 pair, right?
They're very expensive.
So they were way out of my budget. They were like dream for me at that point, because I had started earning at that point, and could never fathom the fact that the sandal could be this expensive. So I bought a pair of aqua shoes from Decathlon.
Okay.
It's from their swimming section, right? So it has this very thin rubber sole and a netted, covering, waterproof. So those were my first pair of minimalistic shoes that I bought and started running in them. Okay. So I've done half marathons and other bigger distances, initially in them, because $499 for a pair.
Yeah.
So I used to kind of buy it, every once in a while.
Yeah.
And then later in the stage, where I was running pretty well barefoot, that's when I thought that, it's fair enough to invest now in such expensive gear. So then Luna sandals happened, Vibram 5 Fingers happened.
Yeah, and that's a good jugaad, right? Value jugaad, to just go buy totally. Like an aqua shoe, and it does the stuff, at least in the start. Now you further pushed the boundary, and only when running barefoot was not enough, you moved to running backward. Man, what's up?
Running backward, you have no idea, because how many weird reactions I've gotten until today, and even in the past. But all sorts of people were bewildered. People were like, making fun of me, and some were really surprised and had insane amount of questions. So backward running happened, close to 8 years ago, when, again, as I said previously, I was running, without a plan. So what happened was runner's knee. In the right knee. And I had no clue until I, spoke to one of the running
physiotherapists?
Not physiotherapists, but Ahmedabad has a running group, Ahmedabad Distance Runners Association. So Dr. Amir Sangvi, is a orthopedic surgeon there. So I happened to speak to him, meet him, and he told me that you have runner's knee. Basically, the cartilage has become weak. And why did it, become weak? Because I am running too much, and too fast in too less time.
Yeah.
And I was like, it makes sense, because my sleep pattern is not too great. I'm not focusing much on my diet, and there is close to no strength training. So it was bound to happen. And that runner's knee, was a really like a headache for me.
Yeah.
Because my right knee was so stiff that I couldn't even bend my legs and sit for too long. right? And all my friends were like running at different places, gathering medals and posting on Instagram. I was like, this is not happening.
I need to fix it.
Yeah, I need to fix it. And I was so desperate to get back on the roads because I was clearly told you have to stop running for a while, go to a gym, strength train, and build your muscles around your joints.
Right.
I was like, okay. And I joined a very local gym nearby.
And it's not as easy when it's hurting. Even doing the strength training is very difficult.
It's very difficult. It's not like it's happening now and then you'll get better.
Yeah.
It's constant. Even when you're sleeping, you know that it's paining, that it's stiff.
Yeah.
And cut to, me making Google my doctor.
Okay.
I was like, Google, how can I still run while I'm, injured and have runner's knee?
And you want just that one answer to tell that, hey, you
and
can.
bunch of articles popped up, and one article, caught my attention. It's like backward walking.
Okay.
I was like, damn, this sounds interesting. I opened and I got to know that in China and Japan, a lot of people have been doing this since years, hundreds of years. And again, I read, fresh cases of elite athletes, sprinters and long distance runners. What their coaches do is, if they are injured and they still want to be active during that injured phase, their trainers make them do backward drills. It could be backward running, backward inclines on the treadmill. So the science behind it is if you walk backward, there's toe to heel movement. So while walking, your entire pressure comes to your calf muscles, your hamstring, and hence there's lesser impact on the knee. So it all made sense, and I was like, chalo, let's give it a shot. And I went to a really tiny, government maintained park nearby, had a 100-meter loop, and I walked backward. And of course, there was still knee pain, but, walking backward actually made me feel slightly better as compared to, I actually couldn't even go down the stairs because going down the stairs involved bending the knee, right? And running backward was like, was like really fresh stuff for me at that point. And I was like, it does feel, good and gave some relief to me. And I was like, I'm going to come every day here and walk a few 100 meters backward. And that's how, those few 100 meters in the park started turning into kilometer. And then I could feel that I was getting better. The knee pain was kind of getting better.
Yeah.
Strength training was going on side by side. So that's how distances increase. And I then took help of my friend actually because I was really sick of running, taking loops in the garden. So I had this friend from college who used to run. So I told her, listen, Purna, you take me to you be my eye. Let's go on a highway and run, a few kilometers. So that's how I ventured on the roads running backward for the first time early in the morning where there were no vehicular movement. And she was my eye. And that gave me such a confidence. And a few months later, Sabarmati Ahmedabad marathon was going to take place.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm going to sign up for a half marathon here. I'm going to run backward.
Okay.
My family was like, dude, you can't do this.
Yeah.
My mother was so against it because she's like, you are not doing this because it's not safe.
Yeah.
It's dangerous. You might fall, you bang your head. You can, this and that. I was like, please have some faith. I know I can do this. And I did it. And since then, it was, something else.
There's no looking back.
And then no looking back. Actually, I was looking back a lot while running.
Right, literally.
And it gave me such strain in my neck. I had to strengthen my neck, separately. I was doing neck workouts.
Wow, right.
Because it gave me pain so much in my neck initially. But touch wood now, how many hours I run doesn't matter. I keep looking, back from both sides equally, and it doesn't ever give me a strain anytime now.
Got it.
Yeah.
So what would you suggest if someone wants to pick up, say, backward running too? I've not heard many people daring to do it, right? But if someone does want to, would you suggest they having a guide? How would they do it? Because I too, when I think of it, I do backward walking even now, and it's very rejuvenating. But running is not something that I can attempt. I would try maybe.
But what is your reason to walking backward?
No, just I felt that I should just strengthen my feet and legs, and I just like it that way. And as I walked, and also on Cane Road actually, just fun. just walking back. So there are some friends who I just write coaching program just for fun, and I have some of my business school friends, and one of the trainings that it includes is backward walking.
Wow.
And so I wanted to understand from you, is someone wants to run backward, would you suggest a guide? How would they graduate into running backward?
Ideally, I mean, if they have somebody looking after them while even they want to try running backwards for a few 100 meters, it's better to have somebody, or maybe select a route which doesn't, if it's a no vehicle zone, or maybe like a loop of a track or a stadium, I think would be a safe area and space to do this. But touch wood, I haven't really banged into anybody or have fallen anywhere in all these years of running. Though I've run like 60 kilometers upward, in Himachal on like a really wild highway. But still, never. But I've always been very, very careful about everything. Even Japan, you can't really run on the road. So we ran from Tokyo to Mount Fuji over 2 days. So I had to run on the walkway, and it was really
narrow,
and it also had like trees growing, they had plants, so I had to maneuver myself, but take it very slowly. So of course one needs to be very careful, not run on highways or busy roads. Better to choose tracks or gardens or no vehicle zones.
For sure. What's now from barefoot to backward running? What's the next graduation going to be?
The only thing left to try is walk sideways. I don't think it's safe for the body. But the entire idea is, for example, I've been running backwards for almost 8-9 years now, and people have started taking notice of it now because my reel went viral. Otherwise, even in 2024, I ran a full marathon backward in TMM wearing a pair of shoes. But at that time, I didn't make a reel. This time, I made a reel.
There's a proof.
And it went viral.
Right.
And also, it had a twist to it. Again, in terms of leveling up, as you asked, up kya hai? What's next? So I ran 42 backward in shoes. This time I ran backward in a fake pair of crocs, right? So that for me is leveling up.
Yeah, of course it is.
Right? So what's next? I really haven't thought of it. But I'm sure I would want to kind of, keep myself excited when it comes to running and fitness. Along the way, I think I'll keep thinking of fun stuff, which I think is in my limits too. In my limits, basically.
No, and that's what I was going to come to, that it seems like whatever you've been doing, it's become a part of life. It's something that you enjoy. You have chosen to have this lifestyle because it's good for you. It's a way of a lifestyle that's sustainable. You taking care of yourself. And I think the point that you said is so important, is being able to just be excited about it. I honestly, when my wife and we go to sleep, one of the things we say, let's put the alarm. We got to go to run, right? In the morning, it's just so much fun. In the morning, we wake up, we make our coffee, and just get out of the door, right?
You guys look forward to it, right? Even before sleeping, throughout the day, you would think, okay, I'm going to wake up tomorrow, have my coffee at this time, and would run, come back. I mean, it's...
make a nice plan and just stay with it, right? And just enjoying that. And running is so inclusive anyway, right? I think there aren't many, like all other sports are good too, but there aren't as many sports that are as inclusive. I've seen runners like you and I met just randomly in the street and said hello, and we have continued to say hello. We smile at each other and they're like, okay, he's out, I'm out. Okay, we got this.
Yes, exactly. Right? We got this.
For sure. Anything else you would like to give message particularly to beginners? Why I say beginners is because I think they are this most enthusiastic set of people
right now, totally,
who do not need help, but they just need some guidance, right? They are excited, they have taken it, and they've taken it up in the exuberance. They started. Some of them have also invested a lot of money. Running is not as cheap in buying watches.
Not anymore.
Shoes. Some have carbon shoes. What would you suggest? How should they look at their fitness journey?
Since the time my Instagram profile has grown, there are a lot of people from across the country, mostly youngsters, who keep messaging me, reaching out to me. Sarthak, you really inspired us in some or the other way. How do I begin? How do I start? Because everyone has this thing now that, they've started running less than 8-9 months,
Right.
and they want to do an ultra marathon, and they're doing it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, from zero to ultra right away.
it's crazy to
It
just
is.
think about
even,
it.
Yeah.
And if you ask them to
Yeah.
not make a reel
Yeah.
of their run, they would never run it. They're doing it for the gram. And I'm
Right.
telling you, I'm not going to shy away from saying this, but they're doing it for the gram. If you
Yeah.
tell them, don't make a reel,
Yeah.
you run and keep it to yourself, they will not do it. So I feel, again, there has to be a gradual process to everything. Don't look at other people on Instagram. I mean, you're definitely, it's easy to compare ourselves. You're comparing someone's life to your life. You don't know what the other person is up to in his life and when did he start running. And, we just start comparing, and there is this FOMO is being created, which I feel is really wrong. So my advice to everyone would be, I'm not capable enough to give an advice, but I still feel what I...
Yeah, sharing my experience.
Yeah, sharing my experience here, that we need to kind of first fall in love with, whatever we do. In this case, running.
Yeah.
I mean, it can't be a headache for us that, oh my God, I have to now, achieve this because this person has, or my friend has, asked me to sign up. I mean, it's firstly we need to just fall in love with running. So I keep telling people, what should I buy? My heart rate is, this. What should I do? I'm freaking out. Don't pay attention to it.
Yeah.
Just listen to your body. Go for a slow run. Have fun. Don't think about too many things.
Yeah.
And we spoke about sustainability. That's what happened with me. Initially, on Instagram, I used to look at people and their diets, and I'm like, even I want such a diet. I even tried, but not sustainable.
Yeah.
I mean, I as a teenager, as somebody who started working, I was not able to pay so much money for my grocery week on week.
Yeah.
So that was not possible. So I stick to, what I could afford and trained accordingly.
Yeah.
And I think eventually with time, things fall into place.
True. And I think it's only the experience of time that will tell.
Yeah.
While you and I can just give as much advice as we think are right, but people more often than not don't listen. They have to go through the grind to eventually figure out, man, actually this is how it should be, right?
Yeah.
I think, but we can tell them for sure that we've been on that side and this side both, because one day we were beginners and today we are a little more than a beginner.
Correct.
That it is a fun journey.
Yeah.
Running is, I think, just so much fun for almost everyone.
True.
If you can exist, if you are alive, you should be running.
Yeah, you should be running.
Right?
Absolutely. I agree to this. And also, I mean, how I made a reel, the other day where I spoke about an experience that I encountered.
Yeah.
And it was about how grateful we, should be to be able to wake up from the bed.
Yeah.
And
just get out and run.
And get out and run.
Yeah.
And before that, to be able to just stand on 2 feet.
Yeah, true. So true.
It's such a privilege.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what happened recently, I went to Karjat and I went for a morning run, and I saw this guy sitting, on a shop, and he didn't have a leg. And he kind of, showed me thumbs up while I was running. And that's when I realized, and it hit me so much.
Yeah.
Like, this dude doesn't have a leg. And he's still appreciating.
Yeah.
Just imagine being on his side.
Yeah.
That how he must be feeling, that even he would want to kind of go out, freely run.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, that's very true. And appreciate everything that we have around. Like, we get into this, and again, this is not a preaching session, but we have to truly appreciate what we have. Otherwise, the moment we get into comparison trap, which Graham and other places do tend to force you to, I think there is no end to it, isn't
There's
it?
no end to
and
it.
I think, just I feel so long as I can wake up and just go and get a run in, that's enough.
That's the biggest blessing.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
This was fantastic being with you today, and what a good journey, and what a lively session that I didn't even realize we have come to the end of it. Thank you so much for being with us
What
today.
a privilege to be here, Vikas.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Keep running.
Thank you. You too.